Welcome to Townsfolk Tussle. We are back for round 2 of our very first run with the physical edition of Townsfolk Tussle. Super excited to jump into the next fight. And yeah, if you missed the last one, make sure to check it out, because obviously you want to start from the very beginning, where we had a very fun fight against Umbrello at the chump level. Luckily, I have fought Umbrello before, so it was relatively smooth, other than Quintus unfortunately getting knocked out near the end there. But luckily, Granny and Georgie were able to clutch it in the end. So I've already cleared off the board. I've already rewarded the coins from last fight. I've also gone and discarded any unaccomplished feats I don't want, and I've already drawn up to my max of 3 for the next round. So for Quintus, we have Cocky Marksman, Survivor, Playing It Safe. For Granny, we have Multitasker, Cherished, and Eagle-Eyed. And Georgie Iron Gut, Learn from Mistakes, Like an Ox, and Unshakable. So there are some alright ones, there are some pretty difficult ones, like Playing It Safe for Quintus is going to be pretty tough to get. Granny getting Eagle-Eyed is going to be extremely difficult to get unless we get some really good town events and gear. And Georgie, his are actually not too bad. He can actually get those relatively easily. One thing we also have to do is we have to swap the turn order, so the person from the person at the top goes to the bottom, and it rotates just like that. So I think we're ready to start the second town phase of this run, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get something good. So of course, we are resolving things in the buying order, so Quintus is going to be resolving the first town event. Ooh, poor maintenance. This is not good. If this is your first town phase, ignore this event and draw another, but it isn't. Your gear has seen better days. It crumbles in your hands. You really need to take better care of your prized possessions. Discard one piece of gear of your choice. Whoa, luckily, that's why I kept these bag of marbles. Luckily, it doesn't say equipped piece of gear, it's just any piece of gear. So we're just gonna get rid of that bag of marbles and discard that. Otherwise, we would have had to get rid of something extremely useful for Quintus. So not off to a good start. All right, Granny is up next. Come on, Granny, you can do better than Quintus. That is a secret, so we'll just discard that and draw another. Same with that one. Meticulous looting. This sounds good. If this is your first town phase, ignore this one, draw another. While your teammates are resting, you take some time to thoroughly search one of these dead ruffians. There's got to be something else useful on this pile of bones, right? Oh, I got this one actually when I was playing with my friends. There's got to be something else useful on this pile of bones, right? You'll spend the entire day picking through these guts if necessary. You may select any defeated ruffian, in which case we only have Umbrello, and take a piece of their remaining ruffian gear at random. If you do, lose 1 movement and 1 moxie for the next fight. I mean, we already got the weapon from Umbrello. I'm unsure of what Umbrello's other ruffian gear is. If it's something that gives us moxie back, that'd be good. But otherwise, it's going to be possibly really bad. Possibly really bad because, yeah, if we only have 1 moxie, A, we wouldn't be able to swap gear at all during the fight, and B, we would only be able to use 1 of our weapons in a single turn rather than 2. Man, but the chance of having a ton of money to potentially buy a ton of good items for Granny next round is very enticing, because we might be able to sell that ruffian gear, or it might just be something really useful. You know what, we'll do it for the video, we'll do it for entertainment, so I will go through with it. So we will lose 1 movement and 1 moxie for this upcoming fight, and we are gonna go and grab the last 2 remaining Umbrello cards, which are the Breezy Cape and the Rainmaker. So neither of those give moxie. The Rainmaker is a one-handed wand that gives accuracy, and whenever the action deck is reshuffled, restore 1 HP, and Breezy Cape gives us movement, and if anyone lands a critical hit, we restore 1 HP. I mean, hopefully we get the movement one. It would be nice, because we don't really want the... Well, actually the accuracy buff would be pretty nice. All right. Well, let's see what we get. Top card is the Rainmaker. So we get the wand. Now it does sell for quite a lot. It sells for 6. The accuracy does help out. But still, I mean, sort of goes towards Eagle-Eyed almost, but we're probably gonna end up selling. We have 2 really expensive or fairly expensive things we can sell for a lot of money. So we'll see what we have in the shop, and we might want to do that. All right, we have Georgie Iron got last. Meal prep. Being the resourceful townsfolk you are, you turn some dismembered limbs into a delicious stew. You're not hungry, but you see if the team is interested. For a price, of course. Any player may give you 2 coins. If they do, that townsfolk has +1 moxie for the next fight. However, they have to then roll and add their max moxie. On a 1 to 6, your stomach is churning. Is that an eyeball in your stew? You need to go to the bathroom. For the next fight, you may choose to either skip your first turn or lose 2 movement. And if you get a 7 or higher, it tastes good, you feel fine. So if I do get that with Granny, I'll get my moxie back. However, I'll only be able to roll and add 2, which means we need a 5 or higher on the dice. I don't think I'm going to do it with Quintus. Because he doesn't really need the extra moxie. But Granny sort of does. So that's pretty tempting. And she does have a lot of money. Again, we'll do it for the video. Granny will eat some of Georgie's stew. Oh, actually, they give Georgie 2 coins. Okay, so they pay Georgie. That's good. So we have to roll and add our moxie. So we do get the +1 moxie for eating the stew, and then we roll and add our moxie. That's a 3. 3 + 2 is 5. Unfortunately, we have to either skip our first turn or lose 2 movement. Well, I'm not going to lose any more movement, so I guess we're skipping our first turn. I'll actually just keep this in front just as a reminder. Well, that wasn't the greatest. All right. Actually, yeah. Yeah, Granny sort of got screwed over there. Well, at least Georgie got some money, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world. All right, let's move on to buying. So let's hopefully get some good stuff for Granny to get some of her stats back up. All right, we have Mr. Horseman, Craggy Trousers, Third Eye Headband, Novelty Nose, Crown of Order, Aviator Glasses, 3-in-1, Itchy Sweater, Billowy Pants, and Mouse Trap Strap. Okay, well apparently this is the store of clothing, because no weapons, only clothing and gear pieces, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Granny's already set for weapons. Georgie Irongut's weapon is already fairly decent, and Quintus' weapon isn't great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. All right, so yeah, there is what we have for this. I don't think we are going to reset the store, because there are some really good chest and headpieces, and we do need those for our townsfolk. So I think we're going to settle on this, and yeah, I'll make a little cut here. We'll come back, and I'll show you all what I purchased afterwards. All right, we are back. We are done our buying phase. It was a pretty good one. Luckily, yeah, we did need head and gear pieces, or we did need body gear pieces, and luckily we did get that. So for Georgie, what I ended up doing was I got the 3-in-1. There's all of these items are actually really good for everyone. Maybe not the mouse trap strap, but overall, oh, actually, the mouse trap strap would also go to Quintus. Forgot to put that on him because the petty theft ability, it's 5 or an item 5 or less, worth 5 or less that he gets for free. So he snags that. He can actually put that on maybe when he's down to 1 health, and maybe we can get some 2 damage off of it. However, the rest of the stuff, there was some really good items. Third Eye Headband I was potentially going to get for George to make him really a lot more consistent with Dad's Head Hammer. Once there's at least 4 more cards in discard pile, you get +3 accuracy, which is a lot. However, again, he is a little bit more on the squishier side. I did want to get something a little bit more that would contribute to that. So I actually got the 3-in-1, which gives him +1 health, movement, and moxie, but you just can't have leg gear equipped, which is fine. So we just unequipped our basic boots, which just gave us 1 moxie. I haven't sold the basic boots yet because we might have use for it to like discard or something. So I'm just keeping it on him. As for Granny had a few choices. I was thinking about getting the aviator glasses because she does obviously have a gun to potentially push the ruffian away, but it only gives +1 movement. I decided because we had the pretty hefty reduction in movement that I was just going to go for Mr. Horseman, and plus Granny does get the lover's discount, so anything worth 7 or more she actually gets 2, it costs 2 less, so it only costed 11 for the Mr. Horseman, which gives us +3 movement, so now we're up to 6, which is still really, really good for Granny. Nice consistent movement is much better, I think, because it allows her to potentially get in and shoot, and then also get out of range of the ruffian, potentially. That's my thinking anyways. And then Quintus ended up using all of his money to get the Craggy Trousers. It's just straight up +2 max HP, but -1 movement. But He already has a boot topper, which gives him +2 movement anyway, so we're still at a positive +1 movement, but we get the benefit of extra health. And so overall, we're in a much better shape, I think, for this next fight. Pretty decent. Here's why I really wish we could trade items, though, because it would be nice to get rid of this sure shot crossbow. I could actually sell, this would be 6 and 5. I could sell this for 11, and then I guess I could get the aviator glasses too. I actually could get the novelty nose, which would give us extra accuracy. Okay, now that I'm thinking about that, maybe I will do that rather than holding on to these, because these aren't really doing anything right now. And I don't think I'm going to... Yeah, I could get 11 coins, I would have 12. Could also get the third eye headband or the crown of order just for the straight up accuracy, but I think... Yeah, we probably should actually sell this and just get the most out of things, so... Because the accuracy would still be nice with Granny, because we aren't always hitting on 2 or higher with the Rudy Tutor at max range. So making it so both of our weapons, no matter what really we're hitting on, anything but a 1 would be really nice, especially since Granny is one of our hefty hitters. But we are only on level 2, so I think I might hold off. Again, if we happen to lose a weapon or something like that, it still is nice to have a backup, so I think we're just gonna hold off for now. We'll play it safe. All right, that is gonna be it for this buying phase. So there are some really good items in there. I think there were multiple ways we could have gone with those purchases, but that is what I'm gonna go with next. So we're gonna flip this over and we're going to reveal the next ruffian at the troublemaker, or the hooligan difficulty. We get Virginia Fitz. So Virginia Fitz is actually someone I have not fought before. She is the knife throwing lady. So I'm very excited to fight Virginia Smith there. We'll see how it goes. So again, I apologize if I get any rules wrong for this one, because I'm not really sure what she does, other than, you know, obviously throw knives at my face. So yeah, I'll make a cut here. We'll set up the fight and we'll get on with it. All right, we are back and we have set up the fight for Virginia Fitz at the Hooligan difficulty. So we got everything all set up. All of our stats are all correct and where they should be. Yeah, I think we're just ready to jump into it. So I guess we'll just start off. I probably should have done this for Umbrella, so I apologize. But let's read the little lore blurb for Virginia Fitz so we can know exactly who we're fighting and why. So Virginia Fitz is the performer. Virginia Fitz runs a traveling circus featuring herself as its main attraction, the mesmerizing knife thrower. Her control over brains and blades can't be beat. Even if she misses a throw, she'll hypnotize you into thinking otherwise. When her act came to town, the old sheriff promised her a big payout for a top-notch show, but he skimped the bill. Being on a tight schedule, the circus had to move along to the next town, but Virginia vowed to collect her earnings. Now that time has come, and with no one left to pay the bill, the tab will be paid with blood. And we'll see how much blood we actually pay with, because this, from the sounds of it, she already gave us a little bit of a hint. Obviously, she's a knife thrower. You can tell by how she looks. But also, she can hypnotize people. And I guess you can probably... I'll show off the art too each time. Or at least I'll hopefully try to remember to show off the art each time. But that's Virginia Fitz. I haven't fought Virginia Fitz before, so it's nice to finally fight someone who's new. Fingers crossed it goes well and our run keeps going. But because we have 3 townsfolk, we're starting at 15 health and 6 movement for Virginia Fitz. Because we're on the Hooligan difficulty, she has Mesmeric March. Mesmeric March. Whenever an action deals damage to a townsfolk, that townsfolk is pushed 2 squares farther from Virginia. So that also gives us another hint on exactly what Virginia's game plan is. So seems like she wants to attack at range, so I think our game plan is really to just go and stick at her like glue, which is a little bit unfortunate because Granny is going to have a little bit of a tougher time because she's a ranged damage dealer herself. In terms of terrain, we have dynamite and detonator. We have the dynamite here. The detonator is right above the dock's hut over on the right side. The big barrel is right above the fowl outhouse at the top. The tool shed is in the top left of the map. We have the dock's hut, of course, on the right side with the bear trap right beside Granny here and the 2 pieces of dense woods. So there's some decent terrain here. The dynamite especially, I think, is always a huge boon to the townsfolk if they can get it off, because 3 damage is a lot of damage in this game. So hopefully we can maybe bait Virginia over there. I feel like if she's going to be a ranged person, she's probably going to try to move further away from us rather than move towards us. So we'll see what we can do here. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. So of course, Virginia Fitz gets to go first as the ruffian. So let's see what she does. We have bouncing throw. Virginia maneuvers a knife with amazing skill. Closest non-adjacent townsfolk. Well, at least we were correct. So she targets non-adjacent townsfolk, or at least this card does. We'll see how many that. We'll see if she tricks us, I guess. So that is going to be Quintus, because Quintus is 3 spaces away, while Georgie is 4. Range attack. If the target is within 6 squares, which he is, they take 1 damage. So Quintus goes down to 5, and then move Virginia towards the farthest townsfolk. And additionally, because Quintus took a damage, Hooligan triggers, so he gets pushed 2 squares further from Virginia. After effect, the blade ricochets off the target, dealing 1 damage to all townsfolk within 3 squares of the target. Luckily, funny enough, the Hooligan ability actually saved Georgie there. Yeah, the Hooligan actually saved Georgie there, because now Georgie doesn't get hit by the ricochet. So that was Virginia's first turn. So now it's going to be Georgie's turn first. I think what we might want to do is maybe try to get behind Virginia with Georgie, because maybe we can, if she wants to move away from Georgie, maybe she'll move this way towards the dynamite and the foul outhouse. So we're going to use our quick trotter ability for 2 Moxie and go 4 squares straight down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 5 movement left over, so we can actually sneak in behind her right here. And then we have 2 Moxie left over, so we have 3 Moxie left over, so we're gonna use our Dad's Head Hammer, because our quick trotter ability thankfully is only 2 Moxie. And we have -1 accuracy, so our 5 up on our Dad's Head Hammer turns into a 6 up on the dice. That's an 8, that's a successful hit, so that's gonna be 2 damage to Virginia, drawing first blood with Georgie. Again, we just gotta make sure we check our town, or our feats of metal. And I don't think we have anything there. So that's gonna end Georgie's turn. Georgie doesn't have anything else to do, so it's gonna be Granny's turn next. So Granny could go set the bear trap to just give us an option, potentially. But I think we're better off just blasting Virginia in the face with the Rudy Tutor. So yeah, let's go here. We'll go 1, 2, and that means we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares away. So that's our max range on our Rudy Tutor, which is 5 squares, thanks to our farsighted ability, which gives us plus range depending on how many squares away we are from the target. That means we have +5 accuracy, so our -2 turns into a +3. So our 6 up on our Rudy Tutor turns into a 3 up to hit. That's a natural 10. All right, we're off to a very good start. So we get the 2 damage off the Rudy Tutor. We'll have to make sure, of course, to flip that over to give us a reminder that we can't use it for next turn. And then we get a roll on the critical hit table and see what we get. That is a natural 1. And a natural 1 on the critical hit table means your turn immediately ends after the attack and the ruffian takes an action. Meaning the ruffian first gets the critical hit action, and then afterwards Virginia's gonna go again because of the breaking point. So yeah, I hate the fact that there's a bad effect on the critical hit table. It's one of my least favorite things about the game. All right, no escape. Virginia's blades seem to change direction in midair. They're impossible to avoid. The 2 farthest townsfolk are going to be Quintus and Granny. Ranged attack. All targets within 6 squares take 1 damage. So it is going to be both of them, unfortunately, meaning both of them get knocked back 2 squares away, and they both take 1 damage. So Granny goes down to 3, Quintus goes down to 4. If Virginia's weakness is active, the blades fall short and the target of your choice does not take damage. Unfortunately, her weakness is not active, and then move Virginia towards the farthest townsfolk. So she moves 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so it's a tie between Granny and Quintus. So Quintus gets a 6, Granny gets an 8. So it's gonna go towards Quintus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and gonna try to get towards Quintus. Now, she is right beside the dynamite. Unfortunately, no one can really get over there. But it's gonna be Virginia Fitz's turn again for the breaking point. Let's see. All right, forced march. Virginia charms the nearby townsfolk into dispersing themselves. All adjacent townsfolk, that is nobody, Virginia commands the targets with her hypnotic gaze. All targets are pushed 3 squares away from Virginia, then play the next card in the action deck. Oh boy. Reposition. Virginia retreats to an advantageous position. Target none. Turn around and move forward. All right. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll push Georgie into this square. If Virginia collides with a townsfolk, which she does, trigger the after effect. Virginia trips over a townsfolk, resulting in a bloody mess. She lands on one of her blades, slicing 3 of her fingers clean off. Virginia's weakness is now active, and Virginia's weakness is bloody fingers. Whenever the action deck is reshuffled, Virginia takes 1 damage. Considering she has multiple cards I've seen already that say play the next card in the action deck, it seems like she goes through her deck quite quickly, so that weakness can potentially be really useful. Remove this card from the game and play the next card in the action deck. She is going through all the cards. I mean, at least we're gonna learn what she does real quick. Violent Trance. 1 glance and Virginia is in complete control. Target closest townsfolk, that is gonna be Georgie. Move towards target. If Virginia reaches them, trigger the after effect. She does. The target's eyes go blank. They're under Virginia's command. The target moves towards the closest townsfolk, limited by their movement stat. If they reach that townsfolk, the target attacks them, dealing 1 damage. Well, Georgie's not going to be able to reach. I believe it's probably Granny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, it's a tie again. All right, well, it's gonna be Quintus gets a 5 and Granny gets a 5. All right, Quintus gets a 6. Granny gets a 1. All right, well, he's gonna move towards Granny. Yeah, limited by the movement stat, so Georgie has 5 movement. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towards Granny. Luckily, does not reach them, so Granny does not take a damage. All right. Finally, that is going to end the breaking point action. So that was Granny's turn. Now it's going to be Quintus's turn. So unfortunately, Georgie did not end adjacent, because otherwise we could actually swap positions with Georgie and use Bloody Badge to do a guaranteed damage. And now she's also further away from the dynamite. I'm wondering if Quintus is just better off getting the barrel while he's over there. We might as well utilize the terrain while we're here. We have 6 movement, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have enough. So yeah, we're just gonna go 1, 2, and we're gonna spend 1 Moxie to use the big barrel, hopefully getting a 3 or higher. That's an 8, so that's gonna be a 5 or higher. So we heal 1. It uses the big barrel, but we also get all of our other stats increased by 1 as well. So we go up to 7 movement, 3 Moxie, and 1 +1 accuracy, which is really good because our Mugger's Bat is actually pretty difficult to hit with. And thanks to that extra Moxie we got, we still actually have 2 Moxie left. So I could swap positions with someone. Now Granny actually has quite a bit of movement now, and I think we do want to try and get back to Virginia, but not too close. But maybe we want to actually 1, 2, since we have 7 movement now, we have 5 movement left. So we can go, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's move here. And then we will swap positions, I think, with Granny, with our last 2 Moxie. And we'll end right there, and I think that'll be it. All right, so I think that's it. So that's Quintus's turn, so now it is gonna be Virginia's turn. Lingering Hypnosis. Virginia flashes a mesmerizing glare in your direction. Your thoughts become jumbled. Closest townsfolk is gonna be Georgie. Move towards target, trigger the after effect, then play the next card in the action deck. This is brutal. Yeah. After effect, Virginia's glare fills the target's mind with doubt and confusion. Keep this card in front of the target. Whenever you whiff, which means roll a natural 1 when attacking, you subconsciously redirect your attack towards a fellow townsfolk instead. Deal that weapon's damage to the closest townsfolk within 3 squares of you. Okay. That is pretty dangerous considering that Georgie has a 2 damage weapon. All right, so we have to also play the next card in the action deck. Come back to Mama. Knives that were scattered across the landscape begin to levitate. All adjacent townsfolk, that's going to be just Georgie. The knives slice through the air and back into Virginia's pockets, slashing everyone nearby in the process. Reshuffle the action deck. All targets take 1 damage. So Georgie takes a damage, which means he is pushed back 2 squares away from Virginia. But because... and also there's an after effect, but it only triggers if there's 4 or more townsfolk on the board. But since we're reshuffling, thanks to her bloody fingers, she actually does take a damage. So, all right, if we can keep drawing the reshuffle cards, that could really, really help us out. It could also really, really screw us, because, yeah, we could be putting back some really, really difficult cards. All right, so there is the reshuffle. So that is going to be Virginia Fitz's turn. So it's going to be Georgie. Georgie is going to spend his stale cake to get back that health he lost. Might as well use it right away. And we are just, I think, going to run up and punch her in the face. Let's see, where do we want to end up? I think we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll end here. And yeah, we're going to spend 3 Moxie to use our Dad Said Hammer. We have -1 accuracy, so our 5 up on our target number turns into a 6 up. That's a 9. That's a successful hit, so that's going to be 2 damage. All right, we're doing pretty well so far. We have taken a decent amount of damage, but we've been able to at least do a lot of damage as well. And the next point of damage is going to be the breaking point, so we'll have to be pretty careful about that. I don't know if we're going to be wanting to do anything else. We do have our 2 Moxie left over to use our Quick Trotter ability if we want to, but I think, again, our game plan is trying to stay right beside her. All right, it's going to be Granny's turn. So Granny, unfortunately, does not have her Rudy Tutor available. However, we still have... I mean, I could put Granny over by the dynamite detonator just in case Virginia does move up. Or I could just go in and hit with the springy wand and trigger the breaking point. Because we sort of have to. Like, we have to at some point, right? I'm just trying to think what is the best course of action. If we do want to do that, 1, 2, 3, we have to move up 2 spaces, which does get Granny fairly close. Trying to think of the best way to even move Virginia over there, and I don't know if it's possible. I guess on Quintus's turn we could swap positions, which would, oh, that would actually make the breaking point go off with bloody badge damage. I think we just use Granny, maybe. Yeah, we'll just use Granny and pop it. But we'll go 1, 2, 3 here, and maybe if she moves towards Granny, we can get her by the dynamite. Actually, let's go here instead. All right, we're gonna attack with our springy one because we're 4 squares away. Our far-sighted gives us +4 accuracy, so we have +2 accuracy. Our springy one requires 4 or higher to hit, so we just need a 2 or higher. So anything but a 1. That is a 2, so that's gonna be a successful hit. We're gonna be ending Granny's turn as we hit the second last breaking point. And Virginia Fitz gets to do her breaking point action. Tendon Tatterer. Virginia brandishes one of her blades and aims for the legs. Closest non-adjacent townsfolk, that is going to be Granny. Range attack. If the target is within 6 squares, unfortunately she is, deal 1 damage, which means that she does get pushed back 2 squares away. And move Virginia towards the farthest townsfolk. I believe that's going to be maybe a tie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's going to be a tie. So we'll roll for Granny. Granny gets a 3. Quintus gets a 6. So it's going to go towards Granny, which is actually good for us. So she has 6 movement. So we're going to go... I guess the question is, do we want to keep pushing Georgie up to be beside Granny? Probably. Because then it would also mean that Georgie could potentially get to the detonator. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll push Georgie here. 5, and we'll do that. After effect, keep this card in front of the target. Uh-oh. Your Achilles tendon is gushing. Whenever you move 4 or more squares in a single turn, you take 1 damage at the end of that turn. Granny's already down to 2, so she's already hurting pretty bad. Okay. We definitely need to try and blow up Virginia here. So that is going to be Granny's turn. So next turn we'll be able to use the Rudy Tutor. So let's make sure to flip this over so we remember. And it's going to be Quintus's turn. So Quintus could swap positions with Georgie. Oh, but he wouldn't have enough Moxie to plunge as well. Shoot. I think that's probably still a good idea though, because we can at least get a guaranteed damage in. Like the only other thing we can really do is just, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. So let's swap, because we won't be able to reach Virginia. So let's swap positions with, I don't want to swap positions with Granny because if Granny has to move to get in range, she's going to probably take damage from Tendon Tatterer. So let us, yeah, swap positions with Georgie. Georgie has a lot of movement still, because he can potentially move 7 total with his Quick Trotter ability. And because we used our Trickster ability, which swapping positions, our Bloody Badge will trigger. So when you activate Trickster, you deal 1 damage to all characters adjacent to you after swapping. And luckily, Granny is actually considered 2 spaces away, so she doesn't get hit. But we do get a guaranteed damage off on Virginia. Now, do I want to move? I guess it's tough to say. Like we could get toward, we could set up for the dynamite, which we probably should. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even though we can't use it this turn, we'll set it up for it. Hopefully Virginia doesn't move, and hopefully Granny doesn't die. All right, well that is gonna be Quintus's turn, so now it's gonna be Virginia Fitz's turn. We have Knife Fling. Virginia sends a blade flying. Closest non-adjacent townsfolk. That is going to be, yeah, that's going to be Quintus. Range attack. If the target is within 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, he is not, luckily. They take 1 damage, but you play the next card in the action deck. All right, so that was just a freebie. Come back to Mama. Oh boy, it's this one. All adjacent townsfolk. The knife slice through the air and come back into Virginia's pockets, slashing everyone nearby in the process. Reshuffle the action deck. All targets take 1 damage, so unfortunately, Granny does take a damage and goes down to 1, so that does push her 2 squares away from Virginia. However, we do get to reshuffle the action deck, which means Virginia does take a damage. So far the weakness has caused 2 damage for free, so that's pretty good. She's down to 5. Granny is almost dead, but if Granny can at least get another shot off with the Rudy Tutor, I think we're in a pretty good spot, because that 2 damage will be a lot. Really wish that we hit with the Mugger's Bat with Quintus, because, man, I feel like he needs an upgrade to his weapon pretty soon, and we haven't actually hit with the Mugger's Bat, so we haven't gotten any coins on it, which means when we discard it, we don't get anything, unfortunately. Okay, and then there was an after effect on there, but that was only if there was 4 or more townsfolk on the board. Okay, so it's going to be Georgie's turn then. So Georgie is going to use, spend 2 Moxie to use Quick Trotter, which we can move 4 squares in a straight line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he has 5 movements, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which gets him directly where he needs to go. And we're gonna, yeah, we have 3 Moxie left over. We're gonna try to hit with the Dad's Head Hammer. We need a 6 or higher. It is gonna be triggering the last breaking point, but again, if we can trigger the last breaking point and survive another turn, we can potentially just blow up Virginia with the TNT. That's an 8, that's gonna be a hit. So that's 2 damage. It's gonna end Georgie's turn, and it's gonna trigger Virginia's last breaking point. Mass Hysteria triggers all, targets all townsfolk. The townsfolk begin to speak in tongues and throw fists at one another. In beaten order, each townsfolk moves 1 square towards the townsfolk closest to them. Then each townsfolk adjacent to another townsfolk takes 1 damage. Then move Virginia towards the farthest townsfolk. Interesting. So in beating order, so Georgie, closest townsfolk would be Granny. So Georgie would essentially move this way. And then Granny would move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's gonna be a tie. So I guess we'll roll. So Quintus gets a 4, Georgie gets a 10. So we'll move Granny 1 square towards Quintus. and then Quintus would move 1 square towards Granny. So this is a card that really punishes you if you're grouped up, because if you're grouped up, you're pretty much all gonna eventually potentially be adjacent to one another. So all of you could take damage potentially. That's a pretty scary card. She's got a lot of tricks up her sleeves, because she definitely forces you to, or not forces you, but influences you to stay close. But at the same time, she has a lot of things that takes advantage of you staying close to her. Okay, so that is gonna be, that was Georgie's turn. So then we are going to Granny, and Granny can shoot with the Rudy Tutor. So we are actually 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away. So let's actually move 1 square further away, and which means we're 5 squares away, which we can take advantage of our Rudy Tutor's range. We have +5 accuracy thanks to Farsighted. So we have a +3 accuracy in total. So our target number of 6 or higher turns into 3 or higher with the Rudy Tutor. Oh. One thing I also should check, I think we're actually fine. Yeah, just because the foul outhouse is an obstacle, it does block line of sight for range, but what you do is you just draw an invisible line from the square base of the townsfolk to any part of the square base of the ruffian, and as long as that line doesn't get interrupted, you're good to go. So let us roll. That is a 3. That's gonna be just barely a hit, so it brings Virginia down to 1. All right. Actually, I might as well just go for the kill, because how much did we move? We moved 1, 2. Oh, I can't actually. Well, actually, I can just move 1 more space. I just couldn't move another space, because otherwise my Tendon Tatterer would trigger and Granny would die. But I can just move 1 space over, so I've only moved 3 spots. We are 4 spaces away now, and we can attack with our Springy Wand. We're looking for anything but a 1. That is a 9, and that is going to be a dead Virginia as the Umbrello Springy Wand boot punches her in the face. Well, that was a pretty fun fight. It was a pretty dynamic fight. I definitely think she's already one of my favorite ruffians to go up against. She's got a lot of interesting abilities, and it definitely forces you to move around, and it's a nice change of pace as well when most of the other ruffians I've played involve just like closest townsfolk and moving towards them. So really cool ruffian. Super excited. I was super excited about fighting her because she looked like one of the cooler ones, and I'm glad I was correct. And luckily no one actually died. It was pretty close for Granny. Granny was down to 1, but we did have Georgie and Quintus at 4 health and 5 health, respectively. And we were in a pretty good spot. I think the fact that we pretty much always hit with our Rudy Tutors and our Dad's Head Hammers, I mean, those 2 damage weapons, they definitely add up. So that was a fun fight. That actually went smoother than Umbrello's fight. So go us. So I unfortunately don't. Actually, I think Quintus got playing it safe. I don't think he actually ever ended his turn adjacent to the ruffian for the entire fight. That one's a little bit tough for me to remember when I'm trying to remember everything else. I believe I did though. If that happens to me not be correct, I'm going to be rewatching the footage anyways to edit it and stuff like that. So if I happen to not actually have completed that, I'll reset some things. But we actually get 4 coins for that, which is a lot. Plus that is a completed feat of metal. Georgie unfortunately did not get any of his. Granny also did not get any of his, because 2 of hers are actually, or 1 of hers is related to the town phase, and hers is also pretty tough to get. Multitasker, which is interacting with a terrain piece and attacking the ruffian in the same turn, is also fairly difficult because she just doesn't have a lot of moxie. Quintus, I don't think ever took 2 or more damage though in a single turn being knocked out, and Granny got the critical hit, whereas Quintus did not. But I mean, Quintus was the only one who actually got the feat of metal completed, so he will be eligible for the ruffian gear, as well as everyone does get their 6 coins as a reward, which is nice. All right, so what is our unique ruffian gear? Let me try and get here. All right, so for ruffian gear rewards, we have Virginia's Locket, Virginia's Shanker, and Irresistible Perfume. Well, considering that Shanker sounds like a knife, I think hopefully we can grab that. because, yeah, because that'd be really, really solid. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so we got Irresistible Perfume, Virginia's Shanker, and Virginia's Locket. That Virginia Shanker, it's really easy to hit with. 3 Moxie ability, deal 2 damage to a ruffian up to 5 squares away and unequip this weapon. It's really useful if you have a lot of Moxie. And it's just a really easy weapon to hit with. All right, let's see. And Irresistible Perfume, if you would take damage, you may have an adjacent townsfolk take the damage instead. Yeah, it's not so great. Virginia's Locket, choose another townsfolk when received. Whenever they are knocked out, you gain +1 Moxie, +1 movement, and +1 accuracy for the fight. Okay, it's a little revenge type item, so we'll give these a little bit of a shuffle, and we'll see what we get. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how that fight went. We didn't even need the dynamite, surprisingly, although it was good that at the end there, if Granny died or something like that, we had the health to tank quite a few turns before, so I'm pretty sure at that point we would have been able to hit at least one more time with the Dad's Head Hammer or blow her up with the dynamite. But because we reshuffled the deck a couple of times forcibly, we didn't actually see all of her cards, so there might have been some pretty sneaky actions in there. All right, so let us see what we got. Virginia's Locket. All right, that's fine. I pretty much I just didn't want the Irresistible Heart or Irresistible Perfume because that was my least. I think that one's the least useful. That one I think you really need the proper setup of townsfolk. So yeah, choose another townsfolk when received. I think we are gonna go with. Now Georgie Irongut's gonna be mainly in melee range the most. Granny does seem to like to get targeted though, but I think Granny has more than enough ways to get out of dodge. So I think we'll target Georgie. Yeah, we'll use Virginia's Locket on Georgie. So if Georgie goes down, then Quintus will get angry and try to avenge Georgie. All right, so that is gonna be it. That is gonna be fight number 2. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Like last video, thanks to everyone who's checked out the first video. And again, thanks to Panic Roll for making such a fun game. I'm excited to continue this run. We're gonna be going to our Troublemaker next. And yeah, hopefully you'll join us for that fight as well. So thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Twitter if you wanna keep up to date on all things me. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.